I'll be the first one to tell you I'm nobody. I'm just a guy who loves God, tries to do whatever he wants me to do. And when my friend Earlene told me I was bringing revival to Cleveland, I thought about it because a couple of things had happened. I hadn't identified how it was going to come about or what. But I always felt like from the Jesus movement, where I became a Christian back in the early 70s, God was going to take people from that movement and give them some training, some equipping, and preparation. And he'd use them someday to do something extraordinary. So I was invited. I live in California. I live in Southern California. And I'd been invited to a party at Beverly Hills. And I got there late that night. And I ended up sitting across from somebody I'd never met at a table in a restaurant. And I asked him what he did. And he said, I do global consulting. And I said, you do? That's interesting. I asked him some questions about it. Well, I had, my book had just come out like a year earlier, and the Lord told me to take a copy of my book. You don't take a book to a party, but I just felt led to take a copy of my book, Peace Without Prozac. And he said, what do you do? And I said, well, here's my book. It's called Peace Without Prozac. It's a book that heals. It goes beyond self-help to self-healing. And he said, let me see that. So I handed it to him, and he started pumping me with questions. And I said, why are you so interested in this? He said, I'll tell you a story. He said, 8 years ago, I was at a big party in London, and a lady came up to me and said, God told me to tell you something, but you don't know me. There's no reason why you should believe me. So I want you to watch this party. Watch the room. So he's looking, everybody's having a good time. She goes into prayer. Antagonism. People getting upset with each other, calling each other names, almost on the brink of a fist fight. She opens her eyes. She said, okay, now watch again. She closes her eyes. Peace descends on the room. All over the room, people say, I don't know what happened to me. I'm so sorry. Come on. This is ridiculous. What are we fighting about? People start hugging each other. He said, I'm all ears, lady. What do you have to say to me? She says, you're going to meet a healer. And when you meet that healer, you're going to know. And you're going to do everything you can to help him. Because he's going to take healing through the church. He's going to train the church to heal and disciple the nations. I said, that's an amazing story. That's incredible. He said, you're the healer. I said, what? He said, yeah, meet me in Newport Beach. I'm going to buy you lunch. We sat down. He started pumping me with more questions. How will you heal? How will there be a strategy? How will this multiply? And I explained my strategy that, training churches, and churches double in a year after they do the seminar, and people learn how to heal. We have got the books to help people do that. And he says, tell me your background. I said, well, in the 60s, I was in a rock band. I was lead singer of a rock band. And then in the 70s in college, I was promoting rock concerts. And, I told him my coup was that I booked a little-known band nobody had ever heard of. And they wanted $7,500 to do this gig. And that was a lot of money in 1969 to pay a band nobody heard of. And he said, we're going to mitigate the risk. 2 schools will do the concert. We'll do it a year out. I guarantee you by then people will know this group. We booked a group called Chicago. And by the time they played the gig, they were the best paid, highest paid band in America. We made so much money. 2 colleges never had to buy a ticket again for a concert for the next year. So I knew a little bit about that, and he says, you're going to be with secular and Christian bands in stadiums all over the world, training the church to heal and disciple the world. So that's in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, I'm nobody. But if God, anything you want to do, Anything you want to do, I'll do. And I'm thinking maybe 10 years from now, something like that will happen. And then Arlene calls me after we talked about doing the healing seminar at her little church. And she said, Ken, you're bringing revival. You're bringing a great awakening, and it's going to start in Cleveland. And then a guy named Randy, who's out in the hall right now, told me about the Gulliver prophecy from Bob Jones in 2005, that revival was a great awakening would start in Cleveland, Ohio, and go all over the world. So I'm still thinking, I'm pretty skeptical about this, but maybe we could go to a couple other cities. And when I met Ed, he started taking us to other cities, and then Ed met a lady who has this TV station out of Arkansas, TV channel, and she's got 237 million potential viewers. The guy she works with has 411 million viewers globally on all different kinds of television platforms. And they said, we want to film what you're doing and take it around the world. I just want to tell you, if God wants something done, it gets done. If God wants things to happen, they happen. And he can bring people around that I've never seen or never heard of and pull stuff together. And that's what's happening. The Kingdom Tsunami isn't my idea. The Gulliver prophecy is it'll be little people nobody knows. Little people like me and some of my friends that are here that you've been listening to today, who are gifted healers in multi-dimensions. And God's going to use us to heal a broken world. I'm blessed to be with you. Thanks for listening. Kingdom Tsunami 2020.